Welcome to Deep Dive Devotions, where each day we slow down and dig into one chapter of the Bible, exploring its meaning, its context, and what it shows us about God and His work in our lives. Today we're looking at Exodus chapter 18, which is a surprisingly refreshing chapter that focuses less on epic miracles and more on practical living and good sense. The chapter opens with Jethro, Moses' father-in-law and the priest of Midian, hearing all the incredible news about how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt with a mighty hand. It's wonderful to see that the news of God's saving action wasn't just confined to the Israelites, but was spreading among the nations, demonstrating His power to the whole world. Jethro, often referred to as Reuel, was not an Israelite, yet he held a spiritual office as the priest of Midian, suggesting that even outside of the direct Abrahamic line, people maintain some knowledge of the divine, which is a powerful reminder that God has always made Himself known to mankind. Jethro takes Moses' wife, Zipporah, and their two sons, Gershom and Eleazar, back to him. We get a little devotion right in the names of the boys, with Gershom reminding us that Moses was once a stranger in a foreign land, a sojourner, which speaks to his entire life story as an outsider who was eventually chosen. And Eleazar points directly to the fact that God was his helper, reminding us that even the great leader Moses had to rely completely on God's grace and presence throughout his life, particularly through the terrifying events of the plagues and the escape from Pharaoh. These names really summarize the journey of faith, recognizing our status as strangers in this world and relying on God as our help. When Jethro finally arrives at the camp, which is located near the holy mountain where God's presence was soon to descend, Moses goes out to meet him with complete respect and humility. He didn't just wave from his tent, he bowed down and kissed him, which in that ancient culture was a profound act of honoring his elder and father-in-law, showing that Moses, even as God's appointed deliverer, didn't forget his family ties and the people who helped him during his exile. After the greetings and a simple inquiry into each other's welfare, Moses wastes no time, taking Jethro into his tent and telling him everything that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians. We can imagine Moses vividly recounting the plagues, the water turning to blood, the final judgment on the firstborn, the incredible parting of the Red Sea, and the daily miracles of manna and water in the wilderness. He was recounting all the struggles the Israelites endured on the way, and how the Lord had rescued them from every single one, making it clear that the victory was entirely the Lord's doing. What is truly remarkable is Jethro's reaction. He was an outsider, yet he rejoiced in all the goodness that the Lord had shown to Israel, giving heartfelt praise to the God of Israel, and declaring, "Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods." This statement is huge. It's a confession of faith from a Gentile, recognizing the supreme authority and power of the God who saves. This foreshadows a major New Testament truth. God's ultimate plan of salvation is for all nations. To properly seal this moment of shared faith, Jethro offered a burnt offering and sacrifices to God, and Aaron and all the elders came to eat a covenant meal with him before the Lord. Eating together was the ultimate sign of peace, reconciliation, and acceptance in the ancient world, marking Jethro's family's inclusion and acceptance among the core leaders of Israel. This moment, where they break bread together before God, is a beautiful picture of the unity we share when we come together under the name of the one true God. The narrative immediately jumps from this moment of worship to the huge organizational problem facing the Israelite community, starting on the following day when Moses sat as the sole judge for the people from morning until evening. We're talking about 1 million or more people camped together, and every single dispute, no matter how small, a fight over a donkey, a disagreement about a boundary stone, a simple insult, was brought to Moses. The people stood around him from the minute the sun came up until it went down, and the line was clearly endless. Jethro, observing this chaotic, inefficient, and utterly exhausting process, wisely questioned Moses, asking why he was trying to do this crucial job all by himself. He pointed out the obvious consequence, the weariness of both Moses and the people. Moses explained that the people came to him because he was the one who could inquire of God and teach them the statutes and laws the Lord had given, acting as the indispensable mediator. While Moses was completely correct that he was the appointed teacher, the truth was that his well-meaning devotion was leading to burnout, making the good work unsustainable. Jethro, speaking from simple, divinely blessed common sense, gave him a friendly but firm critique, saying, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear out both you and these people who are with you, for the task is too heavy for you. You cannot do it alone." This highlights the important principle that even the best intentions and the most godly calling need a workable, practical structure. God calls us to do His work, but He also gives us the good sense and the human limitations to know when to ask for help and organize effectively. Moses was a prophet and a spiritual leader, but he was also just a man, and the burden was literally a crushing weight. Jethro's counsel was that Moses should retain his vital spiritual role, remaining the representative of the people before God, bringing the truly difficult and complex legal cases to God for revelation. Furthermore, Moses was to focus on his irreplaceable task of teaching the people the statutes and decisions, showing them the way they must walk. This preserved his unique prophetic authority, but then comes the brilliant practical solution: delegation. Moses must delegate the minor judicial and administrative tasks. The criteria for these new leaders was not complicated, but absolutely foundational. They must be able men, meaning they had the competence and physical endurance for the task. Men who truly fear God, meaning they had genuine faith and respect for the divine law. Men who are trustworthy in their actions and judgments. And finally, men who reject dishonest gain, ensuring their judgments could not be bought or influenced by bribery. These four qualities, competence, piety, integrity, and financial incorruptibility, are the cornerstone of good, ethical leadership in any era. Moses was instructed to appoint these men, leaders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, to serve as judges. This structure created a highly efficient, decentralized court system. Most problems could be solved locally and quickly by a judge over 10 or 50, ensuring justice was swift for the people and eliminating the need for everyone to travel to the central authority for minor issues. Only the hard cases, which required God's direct guidance or established new legal precedent, would ever reach Moses. This simple structural change ensures that justice is swift for the people and that Moses, the crucial spiritual leader, is able to endure in his calling without burning out. Verses 24 through 27 conclude this episode by showing Moses' great wisdom and humility, as he immediately listened to the advice of his father-in-law and put the entire system into place, selecting the trustworthy men and setting up the judicial hierarchy. The result was twofold. The people went home satisfied, having received quick and fair justice, and Moses was able to sustain his leadership and focus on the teaching and prayer that only he could do. This demonstrates how God often uses human wisdom and common sense, even from an outsider like Jethro, to provide practical means for carrying out his divine purposes. The chapter ends very simply with Jethro saying goodbye to Moses and departing back to his own country, leaving behind a much more efficient and orderly camp, structurally prepared to receive the great law that was to be given on the mountain just ahead. The story beautifully shows that strong faith doesn't mean ignoring practical organization. In fact, the two go hand in hand to ensure the flourishing of God's community. Thank you for joining me today in God's Word. If this podcast has been helpul to you and you'd like to support it, there's a simple option at ko-fi.com/deepdivedevotions. That's ko-fi.com/deepdivedevotions. Whether you support or simply listen, thank you for being part of this time in Scripture. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you.